1, 2, 3.
That's what I thought you said.
I'm Harrison Ford, doing something I never thought I'd do. Telling people I've never met who I'm voting for and why I think they might do the same. The truth is this: Kamala Harris will protect your right to disagree with her about policies or ideas, and then, as we have done for centuries, we'll debate them, we'll work on them together, and we'll move forward. The other guy, he demands unquestioning loyalty, says he wants revenge. I'm Harrison Ford. I've got one vote, same as anyone else, and I'm going to use it to move forward.
Major move!
Yes. I was desperately looking for the major move to post with that when I reposted it on the movie guys, but I didn't have it in my phone.
As Adam wisely posted when he put that up and shared it from the movie guys social, another endorsement from a former president.
Air Force One, baby.
Yeah, baby. And Thunderbolt Ross as well.
That's
Former and
right.
future president.
Former and future president. That's right.
Yeah. Hey, welcome to the Ford Fiesta, everybody. Paul here with Adam and Drew.
Yes!
Yay! I'm so happy to be here, guys. Thank you for inviting me.
Last night we got together and watched 6 Days, 7 Nights. It's the next film on our live feed rollout. And just to keep you updated with everything that's going on, the live feed will be focused on 6 Days, 7 Nights today. But tomorrow it'll be posted as part of when it gets archived to themovieguys.net. And then come Wednesday, we will post our fully fleshed out and finished Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade episode, fully edited and everything ready to go. That's the week in movie.
Recorded originally only 8 years ago.
Slow on post. Let's say that. So I hope you weren't excited to see the finished product of this, Drew, anytime soon. But that's
okay.
Actually, it's much more likely that this now with the work schedule and whatnot, that she will see the finished version of this sometime in this calendar year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Adam, you were right.
Fingers
We got to record the recaps for Air Force One.
Yeah, we're going to do that.
Recap for 6 Days, 7 Nights.
Yeah, so that's our next 2 weeks. Is next week we're going to do our script for Air Force One, have lots of extra clips and drops. Yeah, it's possible. It's possible.
Good idea.
Possible. What's the Harrison Ford drop that I need to pull for that? Possible. Maybe why don't you find out, right? Empire State Possible.
So with that, we'll act like today we've already recorded the opening part of the 6 Days, 7 Nights episode. We've covered Harrison Ford news and this day in Harrison Ford history. Did a huge recap of the plot. Come back from that, and we're into this talk with Drew, who requested this movie.
Yes. About 8 years ago, I think. Yeah.
And who we watched the movie with last night.
It was very fun. I really enjoyed that.
That was
It
really
was fun
great.
to enjoy like subpar Harrison Ford movies just because we're high on him. Like I'm good with it. Just watching him.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that I remember seeing this movie when it was in theaters. This is not the time we talk about that. Like I remember seeing it.
Actually, hold. Paul, are you recording?
We'll go to that. I will do an official introduction, and we'll get to that because I want each of us
gotcha.
to talk about first time scene, among other things that I will guide you through, Drew. So,
great.
Yeah, I'll kind of bullet point us through a whole conversation.
Cool.
But don't leave anything on the table if we get to the end and if you have something from a topic I haven't yet covered.
Because last night we were trying not to talk during the movie, which is very, very hard for me. I want you to know that was a hard moment for me to not talk all the way through the movie. I think me and Adam both struggled with it.
I just want to say, Paul, Drew, we really appreciate your restraint during
Thank
that
you.
because I
Thank
know
you.
the urge to it's so excited
Yeah.
and share stories and stuff.
I'm recording. Adam, you're recording?
I'm recording as well because we're going to get right into it.
David, you're recording?
David, are you recording? Did you press record audio recording on your QuickTime so you could?
That's important. Actually, Drew, can you record?
Do you have an
I
independent
have
recording
Audacity.
for your
I have
microphone?
Audacity. You guys want me to just hook up Audacity real quick? I can
Yeah, hit
record
record
it.
on that.
If you can send us
Sure.
a locally recorded file, it'll sound better than
Yeah, that will sound
Sure.
better.
I think on isn't it true that on StreamYard you can like literally have it record locally, or am I crazy?
I think
Hold
that's
on.
a new thing that I haven't read anything about yet,
Okay.
but it's probably true.
Well, give me
Yeah.
a second. Audacity needs to update apparently, so it's installing, and we'll get to that. But yeah,
Oh,
if you guys
let's
want to bid.
Fast at holding for time here.
Beer, please.
Yes, キリンラガービール
Kirin Lager Beer.
ください。
Kudasai.
うまい。
Umai.
Yes,
Kirin Lager Beer. Umai. Kudasai.
good.
ミスタービールキリンラガービール
Okay, got it. Do you guys want to give me a? Do you guys want to give me a clap so I know when to start? Like 3, 2,
Oh, just
One.
fire. Okay, sure.
clap.
Oh, we
Okay.
nailed it!
Nailed it. Record
We
it
are
locally.
in sync, baby.
Yeah, we got it.
All right, so let's we're gonna come out of the plot recap of 6 Days, 7 Nights.
And it was so well written, Drew.
Yeah. I kept
was
saying during
just like,
this. I kept saying,
"Wah."
is there a writer's strike happening? I had to look it up. I was like, there's absolutely no writer's strike happening during this film.
So the recap is greeted with a huge round of applause.
All right.
And there's 6 Days, 7 Nights, everybody. The year was 1998,
Oh,
released on June 12th. So it's no surprise, it's a summer movie. It's the time, Adam, that you and I love, when the movies of the summer were just, what is my favorite star going to put out? This was the
Right.
Harrison Ford 1998 movie. What was the Tom Cruise 98 movie? What was the Julia Roberts 98 movie? What was the Mel Gibson,
the
Schwarzenegger,
agency era.
Costner? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would be what made that.
I think I've seen it nicknamed that. It's just called the agency era because the agents were like, "No, we get this week for our star. You get that week for your star." You know? Yeah. Which
And-
Mel Gibson movie's coming out?
And we mentioned Drew Grant at the top of the show as being our guest, and here she is. It's Drew, everybody.
Yay!
American treasure, Drew Grant.
Thank you. Almost as much as Naomi Watts. Not Naomi says, "Oh my God, I did it again." Anne Heche. I'll be referring to Anne Heche as Naomi Watts throughout this entire movie, even though I did not get that confused.
Gee, hey,
But
said
thank
that
you.
last night that's a
I
thing you
did.
can do.
I did it again. Oh no.
Yeah, my argument was Naomi Watts made better movies.
It's absolutely true. She did make better movies.
Yeah. But so this one had a budget of 70 million, grossed in the US and Canada 74, which is not great, but then opened worldwide overall, cleared overall worldwide 165 million. So double its budget, plus it was considered a hit.
Yeah.
Although not Air Force One numbers from the year before.
No, but it Air Force One didn't have a little bit of news made right when it came out the way this one did. Like, you know, like if Air Force One was coming out and they said, "Did you know planes can't fly?" and everybody believed that, and we're like, "Well, this is a weird movie."
Of
course, I'm referring to.
I need to know what's going on here. Go ahead and explain it. Sorry.
Well, Paul, you know what I'm referring to, and I don't know if you have it in your notes.
You're referring to the news of Anne Heche?
Yes.
So
Oh, and Heche can't fly. I get that.
The news came out that Anne Heche can't fly, and they said, "Wait a second, here's this movie where she's flying. How our audience is going to believe that
famously then played by Heather Graham in the Bowfinger update, where she can't fly either. That was the whole thing. Was Bowfinger wasn't Bowfinger made about this specific instinct because she was dating Steve Martin for a period of time, I believe.
Oh, is that right?
And then, like
please
at
go
the end
into
of
this.
in the end of Bowfinger,
Steve Martin.
she's dating like the most powerful lesbian in Hollywood, Heather Graham is, because she just keeps working her way up the chain. She's dating the writer, she's dating the
wow.
director, then she starts dating the star. It was like Steve Martin's like all three of those, but so. And then by the end of the movie, she's dating the celebrity. She's dating Eddie Murphy's character. And then at the premiere, she's actually with a lesbian, like a power broker lesbian. And that was supposed to be like the Anne Heche thing, because she had dated Steve Martin, I believe. like right
Very
before
current
this
joke.
came out. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well done, Steve Martin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey.
Absolutely.
I like how the equivalent here is Anne Heche can't fly. I love it.
Well, here's the deal.
It's a realism.
Here's the deal. Ivan Reitman was quoted as saying, "We hired a relatively unknown, and now she's one of the most famous women in America."
Yeah.
Which is true, because soon after she was brought into this, she was announced as Ellen DeGeneres' girlfriend. However, from Anne Heche's book, Ellen and Anne were looking to getting a baby, so the pregnancy news was everywhere. To quote the book, she showed Ford and Reitman showed me this as proof of why this openness about my relationship was becoming a pain in the ass for them. Why, Ivan asked me, can't I just be like Jodie Foster?
Oh my God.
I didn't know what that meant.
Wow.
Everybody knows it. He explained it being her sexuality. She just doesn't talk about it.
Right, but I'm arguably Jodie Foster is not like a rom-com. Like maybe you can put her in a rom-com, yeah.
Oh, that's a good distinction, actually. Yeah, he's way off on that.
Yeah.
However, Ford, after Heche was fired from the project, actually she was let go because of all of this, said, frankly, or I'll try my best, Ford. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn who you're sleeping with. We're going to make the best romantic comedy there is. I'll see you on the set.
Oh, wow. I love that. He's so great.
Jeez.
That's why I have to go do the Ford Fiesta. He's just lovely.
And this has to be further proof that everything went well, because years later, at the AFI Lifetime Achievement Award for Harrison Ford.
Hi, Harry. It's my pet name for him. He didn't know it until just now either. Well, allow me to gush. I spent a hell of a lot more than 6 days and 7 nights with this man. Yes. And that makes me feel good. I mean, I knew that this dude was voted sexiest man alive, okay? And I knew that he was the hero of the world and all that stuff. Here's what I didn't know. I didn't know that he deserved it. All of it. And more.
Clearly, no love lost there. They are.
Oh,
Is that
wow.
what I mean?
Love him.
Clearly, no love. Man, they're in love. Anyway, she loves her. He loves her. It was great.
You could feel it in this movie. I had not to jump ahead, but you could really feel it that they got along well.
Yeah.
And we can start back then, because if you go way back, the film, to roll out the notes here, originally acquired by Caravan Pictures, who ended up being one of the production companies on the film.
Where'd Caravan go? That was in front of every movie. We saw that Caravan logo. You're like, they made every movie in '98. I think.
You guys were a little bit confused about who's doing the slogan. It was like a real who's on first. It was like you were thinking, this Caravan was showing, but you were like, is this Touchstone or was it not Touchstone?
Wait, is the kid going to jump off the pier? No, it's the guy with the bindle. Never mind.
It's the bindle guy. Yeah.
So Caravan acquires it for Hollywood Pictures. Of course, it ended up being Touchstone, so Disney passed it around within their sub studios. And it was originally acquired as a Julia Roberts vehicle. Be curious to know where in there it became not sort of the female lead movie, where the male lead was focused on in terms of notoriety.
Although it's a two-hander. I mean, she was famous enough. She is the co-lead, really. I mean, she's not as famous, but...
Well, here's the other unfortunate part for her being the lead. Ford, Heche's salary, $125,000. Ford's $20 million.
What the fuck?
Okay, he's the lead. He's the lead.
That's a decidedly 90s.
Oh my God. Oh my God, that makes me feel bad. It makes me feel bad. It's like not funny.
And then on top of that, the director's like, why can't you stay closeted?
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Can't you have the self-respect as a gay person to not tell anybody that you're gay?
Not adopt a daughter in the process of us making this classic 90s film, 6 Days, 7 Nights?
Yeah.
How much did David Schwimmer get paid? That's what I want to know.
In the film, Ford is billed above the title.
Yeah.
Not.
Gotcha.
Both are. So,
that's not equal to 1/100th of or 1/200th of the Pages scale, like 120 to 20 million. Sorry, I don't mean to curse, but are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Are you kidding me?
those were the days. Everyone was getting that back then. Carrie started it with.
Is that
Dumb and Dumber.
0.01% of his salary?
I
I'm
like
sorry,
a
I'm not very good at
migraine.
math.
I got a migraine. That hurts.
Reminder: the budget is $70 million, so there's
Yeah.
$50
So
million on the movie, $20 million on the star.
How much
Oh,
was
did-
Tim
oh, did
Morrison making? How much did they give to Boba Fett? That's what I wanna know.
Django Fett.
Django Fett. That's correct. And Boba Fett. He's
mean,
both. He's
one thing I
both.
gotta say about this movie: come for the Harrison Ford and Anne Heche, stay for the Django Fett and Machete.
Yeah.
those are the villains.
God, right.
and
Yeah.
Great
And Cliff
villains.
Curtis. And Cliff Curtis. And Dr. Sleep's own Cliff Curtis.
Dr. Sleep Zone. And that's what they call him, I believe.
I
Dr.
believe
Sleep
so.
Zone.
I never remember what other movies he's from. He's from a ton, but like Eric's always like, it's, Cliff Curtis from Dr. Sleep.
Well, the ones I remember from yesterday was, I said, Training Day. He is the villain in that.
Right.
But he's also the lead in Fear the Walking Dead, which I never really watched, but I know he's the lead in it.
He's also in that new show Chaos, the one where they're all like Jeff Goldblum and them are playing the gods, the Greek gods, and so he's playing Poseidon, I believe. So
I think that's one and done though. I think
that was one season, but I've been meaning to watch it. Thulis plays Hades. I've heard it's very good.
If I'd ever heard that show described like that, I would have seen it. But it's so funny, these shows, you're like, it's a show called Noun, and you're like, that doesn't sound very interesting. Well, it's got 12 stars you love, and they all play gods and ride dragons. You're like, why did they say that?
No, it's about a world in which I believe the Greek gods are not being worshipped in us, so they're causing all these. It's a world in which we understand gods live among us. And so, we have to worship them in order not for bad things to happen. And so, it looks good. That's not to side tangent it, but it looks really good. I'm meaning to catch
I'm going to
up on
side tangent that and say that that got canceled after one season. Shrinking already has a season 3 greenlit. So that's
Harrison Ford in Shrinking. Yeah.
The new Harrison Ford.
Let's go back to something we were about to talk about before we pressed live here on the live stream. First time we saw this movie. Let's just go around the table. So, Drew, you want to chime in on that? Tell us about the first time you saw 6 Days, 7 Nights.
Yeah. Yes. First time I saw it, I think I saw it on a date. You said it was 98, right? Was that all right? It's 98. So I guess it couldn't have been a date yet. So I was maybe seeing this right before I moved to Maryland. I was still in Delaware, so I was still going by Sarah. That must have been an interesting thing. So I don't remember who I saw with. Probably my theater group. I remember that's who I used to see all the movies with, like Titanic and everything.
Yep.
I remember
that's how you located movie nerds back in the day when there was no internet. You go, the theater kids are going to be the concentration.
Yeah, that's
for
what
band
it is.
kids,
Well, and I remember because I was watching this movie with you guys last night, and I was like, "Holy crap! Does David Schwimmer look like my ex-husband?" And now I have to think about whether that was just incepted onto me because I saw 6 Days, 7 Nights in theater and thought that's the kind of man I'm going to marry one day, or that's the kind of man that's going to break off an engagement one day. I don't know, either or. But there's something about Schwimmer that really has a visceral reaction when I was watching this film. But no, I remember watching this movie. I was really obsessed with Harrison Ford. I know I didn't play in the Star Wars League, but I was something of a Star Wars scientist myself when I was growing up, and I really had such a crush. I was such a huge Harrison Ford nerd. I have it in my diary, which I carry on me at all times. So it's only 50 feet away from here in any vicinity. But it's I spell it wrong. I'm I love Princess Leia. I love Han Solo. So Leia is spelled so wrong. Han Solo is spelled with an S. So Super Hans Solo. And it's I don't know if I want to. I was I don't know whether I want to kiss him or be him. And I'm that's some early confusion on a video group part. It's some real misinterpreting of how I feel about Harrison Ford. But yeah, it was really cute. I was obsessed with him. So
That's
of course
amazing.
I saw this
So
movie.
were we, Drew. So were we.
Yeah.
But Adam, I don't know how we did. This was the first time you saw this. Was last night, and I don't know how that's possible because I saw it in Chicago when we were both living there. How did we not go to this together? Maybe because it was date night or something, and I didn't take you. So no offense.
What's so weird? Yeah, it's true. I mean, we were taking each other on many dates because there's a lot of movies that our friends did not care about that we were like, oh, let's go see that. Yeah. Because Drew, I don't know if you know this, Paul and I met through him making a Harrison Ford joke in a show he was in, a sketch show.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and nobody else got the joke, and I laughed extra hard, so he knew one guy got it.
What was the joke? Do you remember?
Yes.
Oh, you do.
Oh, I do. You had the name of a law firm, and the name of the law firm was 5 Harrison Ford character last names. So it was a law firm of Solo, Jones, Book, the Quinn from but And
what was his Mosquito Coast character? Anyway, yeah.
Wow.
Fox. Yeah, it was like Fox.
Yeah.
And so I was in the back and I lauged extra
Fox
hard.
and Falfa. Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah,
that.
Fox and Falfa.
Fox and Falfa. Wow.
And then
that's
afterwards,
really
I was
good.
like, I was the guy that laughed at those jokes. And you're like, you love Harrison Ford? I'm like, yeah. And so then we just started going to see movies all the time.
I love it. So this is that long in the making.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
That tradition continues. There are movies that Susan and I don't. I saw Transformers 1. Did Susan come with me? No. So you still got to hit up friends for some movies.
Oh, Eric, I feel you on that. That's like how me and my dad saw The Ring. Was my freshman year, like between freshman year of college.
That's how me and my dad saw The Ring.
Yeah, we saw The Ring. We were in the theater, like clutching each other, being like, "Ah, it's so scary!" But like just a dateless night with Drew and her dad. But it was fun.
For me, I saw it in Chicago, and then I just went back and realized I'd only seen it once. Now we have the theory, Adam. It's more yours than mine. If you want to tell everyone, you should see movies twice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Movies are meant to surprise you. How can you review a movie after seeing it once? I mean, I know reviewers, the good ones, are professionals, and we were just even watching some Siskel and Ebert. And we're like, how are they so good at being so precise about exactly the issues? But here's what you like and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, you got to see movies twice because I just can never really fully get a handle, because especially a movie that's got all these surprises, like you don't know what Pulp Fiction fully is until you're done with that movie. And you're like, well, how am I going to describe what just happened? Because I was constantly surprised and constantly kept off my feet, because that's one of the things that filmmakers do, and keep you intrigued and a little confused, but and then reveal this to you. And so you go through all these emotions. Well, how can you go like, well, I was on top of that the whole time,
Yeah, and so you have to go back and find out how the filmmaker got you there. I think I was talking about this last night. I was watching a video about Long Legs and someone breaking down the cinematography.
I love that movie. I love Long Legs.
Composition in that movie does everything to you behind the scenes to get you to the feeling that the story will eventually get you to anyway. And then it's a whole hit of a bunch of things.
It's true. And I believe Long Legs, I fully endorse the idea of, if you didn't like Long Legs the first time around, like give it 3 shakes and try it again, because like there's so much in that movie that is subliminal. There's so much in that movie that like once you're there and you can look for it and you know to be primed for it, like you're watching like a separate film on a separate level. So I mean, that's again a Long Legs tangent.
Yeah. We're all about tangents. We're entering an era where Adam hasn't seen these movies, hasn't seen.
This is crazy.
This hasn't seen Random Hearts, hasn't seen What Lies Beneath, hasn't seen K-19.
Nope.
Ooh, okay. So we're on a run here.
Yeah.
For me, I have seen all those, but we're on a run of me having only seen them all once. After seeing Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom 6 nights in a row, after having seen Jedi 6 times in the theater, after having seen Last Crusade countless times because I was working at the movie theater and I would go for free all the time. The Fugitive.
This is an era where you were just once.
Every once. So everything that came after, from all the way up until The Force Awakens, which I saw twice. So, so this is a fun run for me on stuff I've seen, but I'm not very familiar with. Ender's Game, Morning Glory. I only saw during the pandemic because I felt guilty. I hadn't seen it yet.
Ditto. Great movie.
Yeah, great movie.
Harrison Ford is great in that movie.
Morning Glory.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And
was that the one where he's like a newscaster?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, okay. I've always meant to see that movie. Is that also
great
with Diane
co-star?
Keaton? Is Diane Keaton?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Him and Diane Keaton, dream come true, and they play off of each other so good, and it's so well directed. I don't even know who directed it, but
Roger Michelle, I want to say.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Notting Hill guy. Is that right?
Oh, is that right? That sounds right.
That makes absolute sense.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But so anyway, so I'm excited.
And your winner.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Ultimate Schmodown champion.
You don't know.
I will look it up.
The fact did come through the chat here that the last Caravan pick was Inspector Gadget, and now that makes sense. So,
and that's how they went out.
So
everybody's got to pick their one to go out on. Everybody's going to have their welcome to Mooseport, right, Paul?
God, wait. So who's Inspector Gadget? Who was that? Was that Carell? Broderick. There we go. It should have been Carell. He was Get Smart.
You're thinking of Get Smart.
Get Smart. Yeah.
I believe I saw that at the movies because I was on a cruise ship.
Oh, wow.
And it was like a thing to do on the ship. So
me and Lon are talking about taking a cruise. We want to go to like Mexico. We want to do that whole cruise thing. But that's a separate story for another time.
Yeah.
Recommended. So let's get down to the story of this one. Adam described it as, and I would like you to explain this, a writer's strike script.
kept saying that, and I had to look it up, and I was like, I don't think there was a writer's strike.
You did look it up.
The whole plot, but explain why that plot we just described.
I only have started using this term because like several movies in a row that had this structure where things were clearly hung on, like they do this and then they do this, and then that sort of clothesline in between droops an extra bunch. Like there, like it just the tightening or there were plot points in this that ordinarily, if the writer's on set or if the writer can rewrite up until, and most movies, and movies don't get enough credit for how tight they are in this way by having something that used to never happen, having a writer on set or continuing to hire the writer while you make the movie and stuff, but this sort of sewing up of little things, like they do something and it comes out of nowhere and you go, oh, let's fix this. But in a movie with a writer who's there all along, that would then be rewritten to be mentioned earlier, and then they would either reshoot that, or if they hadn't shot that part yet, they go, oh, let's add that detail there because it's a little confusing when we come up here, all that sort of stuff. And a couple times in a row, I saw movies and I go, God, it's just missing that whatever it is where these things get tightened up. And a couple of those in a row were writer strike movies once I listened to like a podcast on them. So I just started calling those writer strike movies, and I was like, this, and now it's just a brand name. Like this is it, even though it wasn't literally a writer strike, but it's got that writer strike feel where you
has that
ooh,
vibe.
they just kind of dropped that,
Let's say it's 10, and let's say specifically it is 10 years after a writer strike and 24 before the next one. So it's just bad.
Maybe it's just bad.
So there's not much of an excuse there. And it seems to set everything up well. I mean, we talked about how they're going on vacation, Harrison Schwimmer, and they're getting engaged, and then Ford gets them there, and then she has to duck off to another island. All this stuff goes well, but it's transition.
It's roughly shoved into the movie. It's like, we have to get her into an airplane with Harrison Ford so that they can crash. That has to happen, or the movie doesn't exist. So the whole thing of like, hey, there's an urgent telephone call that you have to leave the island on a plane suddenly. You're like, that is a writer's strike move. like I don't know. Like you could just hear the producer like, hey, we ain't got a writer to smooth this out or add this one scene that we wanted to shoot, or it's not done. It's like, just, I don't know, have him have a phone come up and say, hey, we need you to go to an island.
Oh,
and then Harrison
absolutely.
Ford gets there. Boom.
I 100% was like, I remember the plot of this movie being like, as I was watching it, I was like, oh, the goal is they're going to crash and then they still have to make the shoot. I thought that was going to be the thing. And at the end, she's like taking the shoot and he's like, I'm still here with you. And like, that was going to be the reveal, was they were still trying to get to the shoot. But like, no, of course not. You crash a plane, you're not supposed to be on that shoot anymore. It doesn't matter how much Allison Janney wants you there. Like it's going to be.
Well, I mean, and a key, yeah, exactly. And another one that's very like that the first one I called out, I feel, was when David Schwimmer and she go off to an island. They, get on a plane, they land, it's whatever. And then in one sentence, he goes, by the way, it's our anniversary.
Yeah,
I'd like
you
to
love
propose.
that. You love that part.
What?
You love that part, though. You love that part. It's just like, but I'll be honest, again, because maybe it's because he looks so much like my ex-husband. Like, again, folks, you can make up a decision for yourself. If you watch MSNBC, then you probably
see it.
Now you got to see who it is. But like the guy on MSNBC who looks like David Schwimmer, that's my ex-husband. And so when I was watching this movie, I like almost had like this inception point where I was like, is that how he proposed to me? Because the next day after proposing, we were in Turks and Caicos. Like he took me to Turks and Caicos as like a little like gift. So in my mind, that is not the most insane way you can like propose to someone. I was just like, oh yeah, that's what you do. Sometimes
I absolutely adore that. That's realistic to you, Drew. That is just like
realistic. Well, the part that wasn't realistic.
I don't want to feel like a cynic going, well, that could never happen. I mean, it happened to you.
No, it happened way better to me. Like I didn't know I was going to Turks and Caicos until after he proposed. It was like a nice gift for doing it. But the part that bothered me was like, oh yeah, Eric. The part that bothered me was the part where he was like, we've never traveled before. Here, let's travel in 2 weeks. And she goes, 2 weeks? I won't be able to get off work in 2 weeks. And he's like, I've already cleared it with your work. And then they jump cut to that 2 weeks later. And it's like, why didn't you just say the next day? Because again, like that's how, when he proposed to me, like that's how it happened. Like he was like, I was like, I can't get off of work. It's tomorrow. And he was like, I already cleared it with your work. Like if it's 2 weeks ahead of time, like that's kind of presumptuous. I know it's a nitpicky thing, but having gone through a very similar experience, I was like, you ask permission from the boss if you're taking your
Right.
sweetheart out for the next day. It's 2 weeks ahead of time. You don't need to call her boss. Like, let her take care of this for you.
Well, Drew, I just want to commend you and your former fiance for having writers on staff all the time to smooth out the logic of your your relationship.
I love that I described him so perfectly that Eric Rebner is just like, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, the rapping one. Yeah, I know. You know what I'm talking about.
I was today years old when I found out you used to be married to Lawrence O'Donnell. Anyway.
Oh my God! Can you imagine? He used to date Kerry.
Right?
He used to date Kerry Washington. That was like the big thing about Lawrence back in the day. Was he used to date Scandal?
Right.
Yeah, Mrs. Scandal.
Hello.
Yeah.
Pardon me? What'd you say?
Hey, this is getting like a real dish session.
Going back to the beginning of the film, the first time we see Harrison Ford, there's a couple things we need to point out. Quinn Harris. In the annals of great Harrison Ford names. Am I right? Quinn. That's a
Quinn Harris. Oh my God, it's so good.
Deckard.
Deckard Shaw. Quinn Harris. I like how this one's just part of his first name that is cut off. They're like Quinn Harris' son. No, it's just Quinn Harris.
Yeah, right.
It's a great name.
But it also has a little Quint vibe, right?
Like there's a little totally.
Like he's a salty guy. He's and that's the first game. I mean, the thing is, the game about this movie is obvious, and that's okay. That doesn't have to be surprising at all. Like I said, it happened one night, right? It
happened one night, starring a lesbian on a plane crash that she can't fly. Yeah, it happens.
Exactly. So I know all that. I love all that. And you know what? I would watch them, and I did, the most basic version of that with Harrison Ford and Anne Heche. Yeah, I'd watch it happen one night, and it doesn't have to be all that surprising or special.
No.
But from the very beginning, when these two start having some rapport, and he's the salty guy, and he's a little drunk, and, all this sort of stuff. And, it's a whole different vibe for Harrison Ford, although as experts, we've seen little parts of this, but Paul and I love that we can now take the whole DNA of literally everything he's played so far and go, oh, it's a little bit of Jake from, Getting Straight, and it's a little bit of,
yeah. Well, it's really great because, like, I don't want to. Again, I'm not going to spoil what lies beneath or anything going forward, but I will say that I feel like this is. I will not. I promise. It's like the time my ex-husband.
He was in a Zemeckis film. Let me just say that. Okay, we'll get to that later.
It's like my ex-husband in the year 2010 asked me not to spoil The Sixth Sense for him. And I was like, that movie's been out at that point 20 years. 10, 20 years? 11 years? No, it was like, okay, so maybe it was like 2014, 2015. It was just too long for someone to not have seen The Sixth Sense and also not have known what lies beneath. You have a lot more leeway because a lot of people didn't see that. That's like being like Stir of Echoes. I don't know the twist about what Kevin Bacon's seeing when he's hearing.
That one either.
Okay, no spoilers for Stir of Echoes. The first time I ever heard Painted Black was in Stir of Echoes. But yeah, so I was going to say, this movie has a lot of the new Harrison Ford in it, which is that he's trying to figure out, I think, like if he's going to have like more of a softer edge, or like he's learning about whether he's going to be a gruff old man or what kind of an old man Harrison Ford is going to be. Because I think up until this point, he's been like the leading man. And so this is the first movie where I think, I mean, you tell me, but this is the first time where I remember seeing him and being like, oh, he's like an older guy. The age is like becoming a part of it. That's becoming a part of the joke.
It's discussed. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, ooh, but then he's like, I'm still sexy. But in this still, like, he's not fully like grizzled yet. He's not entered his like, I'm just an old man. I'm Red Hulk. Like he's just like.
That's the new phase. That is, this is just phase 5, right, Paul? Are we up to phase 5 for Paul?
The phase is your thing to follow and to. Yeah, you're right on it, but I mean, I haven't followed along.
Okay, but this will probably be in our preview. But which phase? Because I think this begins phase 5.
Oh, post. I think Air Force One ends a phase. You're right.
I think that ends phase Ford. And,
phase Ford, love that.
No, but Drew, the way it goes is phase 0. Or no, sorry, phase 1 is up to and including Star Wars, which is the unknown Ford, and phase 2 is Empire through Temple of Doom, I think.
Okay.
The guy just doing what he does.
Yeah, Fjord. Yeah.
Phase 3 is a change in everything. Everything in there is something different. Witness is different. Mosquito Coast is different. He's not playing the hero. He's not playing the same type of hero. That sort of stuff. And then the sort of.
Is that regarding Henry? Is that regarding Henry? Is that?
Regarding Henry, that might be on the cusp. I forget where
that's the cusp. That's like the Capricorn Whatever.
The next
cuss,
one is
yeah.
kind of like no, that should be in the last phase. But then the one after that is a return to form, which starts with, I believe, Last Crusade.
Yeah, return to Ford. And there we
Return to
go.
Ford. Phase
There we go.
Ford.
I'm trying to make this phase forward. Yeah, that works.
Yeah, there's a great. I'm gonna say it incorrectly, but there's a great set of dialogue in Shrinking where Jason Segel and Ford are working on the same patient, and he's like, "Well, we could talk to him together, like a team, like Batman and Robin." And he's like, "I don't like that." He said, "Well, you can be Batman or something." No, wait, he says, "Of course you would be Batman." He says, "I don't like that. You already sound like him." That's just what he would say.
That's so funny.
Yeah, the leaning into the grump started back here, and it's from Ford's first line. He's fixing a plane. He's like, "God damn it, son of a goddamn!" Like right away, we're like, okay, we got and when you need comedy, you lean grump forward. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although he's kind of playing the looser. He's playing the looser of the two. She's the uptight one. So that's like kind of like the needle you're trying to have to thread here is that he is both the older grump and the one who's kind of rolling his eyes at her. But she's supposed to be the one who's like over it, and he's trying to get her into like the island vibe. He's the one coming up and hitting on her. So he's like he has like kind of like a schizophrenic kind of vibe where he's supposed to be like this older, wise and old man, but he's not jaded. He's the one dating the younger woman. And he's the one that's like all about this island lifestyle.
Yeah.
And she's the one that's like uptight. She's from the city. She's not going along with it. And so, I mean, that kind of leads to a very funny dynamic where like the two of them are like, it's not like she's like a priss. It's not like she's the free-spirited one. He would be the free-spirited one in this scenario.
Yeah. That's a good distinction, actually.
Yeah.
Because the grump doesn't come with just like, oh, what a scumbag. It's like, no, man, like,
he's
you're on island time, baby.
Yeah. It's like Will Lapidus from Lost vibes.
It's hilarious that he doesn't recognize her when he hits her.
No, yeah, it's so funny.
Like that day.
Yeah,
he hits on her that night.
So he's Grump in Morning Glory. He's Grump in Anchorman 2, and this is a good time to play a quick
advanced
clip
Grump
of Will Ferrell, Steve Carell, Paul Rudd, and Dave Koechner talking, and Christina Applegate talking about Ford on that set.
Harrison Ford's in it, but you said he didn't seem that bothered about being in it.
He's a low-key guy.
He's like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? He's got an earring, and he kind of walks in, and it's pretty mellow yellow, and then he leaves, and
He's like, so what are we
that's
doing?
it.
Is it really? He didn't bother to. Is it?
What's going on here? I'm doing a Harrison Ford one-man show in the West End. It's a theater reference. It's a Han Solo performance.
Oh, very good.
Sing.
Very good. Somebody write that down.
Wow, Paul Rudd, really for the win.
And Adam, he's a pilot. I mean, let's not even forget that.
Yes, that was my big thing. Is this was the era? I think we said the news about the flying. I thought you were talking about the fact that I believe, right around the time of this movie's release, was the first time he had to go rescue someone in his plane from a mountaintop. Let's double check it. In my mind, that's like the two events are correlated. I was like, oh, because of I thought it was a press for it. I thought it was like a press thing that he was like saving people from the mountaintop.
Remember, I think that's 90s, because then the one where he stopped traffic and helped guide traffic is more like 2001. So that preceded that. I know that, but but I love when what's one of the great things.
I hate to interrupt. Just to throw a date on that. Harrison Ford rescued a hiker in 2000. So 2 years later.
Oh, okay, so this was like a little bit close. Okay, but like maybe about the time I saw it, like that's it's not that far. 2 years, come on.
Yeah, and I don't know that that's the first one, but I know that I can throw that date down for sure.
I do love that I'm reading an article now that says Harrison Ford stopped rescuing hikers with his helicopters because he's annoyed with the hero pilot narrative. That's a good reason to stop helping people. That's very funny.
Well, you're going to get some press if you're Han Solo rescuing people while flying.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But but seeing him do, I mean, we love when we see him do construction because we know he's a carpenter. So, you watch Witness, or you watch him build bunny shacks with Fonzie, and that's coded language.
That's heroes, everybody.
Heroes. Thank you. But yeah, the flying thing, it's so exciting to see him fly because we know that's a real part of him. And
Yeah.
what actor, besides Tom Cruise, does that? You know? So, yeah, it's just, he's so at home with it. And sure enough, I looked up some behind the scenes stuff. Sure enough, of course, he flew himself. And that just, gives him
Had
more
to clear
passion.
a lot of insurance parameters, but he did it and he flew. Yeah, a ton.
I saw 3 clips and he mentioned the insurance people that were complaining about it in each one of them. He's like, well, there were some insurance people to satisfy. And it's like, and did you? And he's like, let's just say that we came to an understanding. Yeah.
Yeah, oh my God, it's amazing.
So not the first time he's not the first time he's been a pilot. He flew.
Flew in Last
He
Crusade.
flew, and he flew
Oh, wait,
of course, the Millennium Falcon.
Real quick, Narcolepsy's comment, as long as there are no snakes on a plane. Interesting you would say that. Because in this movie, there is a reference to snakes, and he has no problem with them. He likes the snakes. This movie establishes, there's snakes in her pants, and he puts his hands on her pants, and we establish that Harrison Ford, canonically, as a person, does not mind snakes. Because as Adam pointed out, in this part of the film, if the snakes were in the water, they're most likely poisonous. I think most water snakes, I believe that's correct. Most water snakes are poisonous. Or at least I'm taking that as face value.
But Paul, I think this part of the movie is best described by this YouTube clip that we found, right?
This woman is about to fetch water when she suddenly feels something crawl into her pants and screams in terror. The man walks over, smiling and putting his hand down her pants. But his face changes quickly as he pulls out a snake and throws it away in panic. A few hours ago, their helicopter crashed on this deserted island. The woman is panicking while the man remains calm. He says that if a boat or helicopter passes by and fires a flare, they can be rescued, and there's fresh water and animals on the island. After a while, the man is cutting palm fronds seriously. The woman wonders what he's up to when he appears. The woman laughs crazily. The man points to the peacock in front of him, which turns out to be his hunting disguise. The woman says the peacock is too pretty and she'd rather starve than eat its meat. In the evening, the pungent smell attracts the hungry woman. The man hands her a delicious peacock leg. She nibbled on it with relish, completely forgetting her earlier words about not eating peacock meat. She exclaims that this isn't a desert island, but a
What is that video? Is this
That's
why?
perfectly summarized.
This stuff
This is why she only got paid $120,000. This is why she only got $120,000. She should be so lucky to eat that peacock meat. Oh my God.
$1 per view on that video, I think. Is
oh my freaking God. Wow, it's nice to see misogyny is alive and well, like past the 1998.
I love that video, which is AI generated. So,
Oh
guys,
my God.
nothing to fear, I don't think, on the AI front. But
oh my God.
It's out there
Is that like
littering. Go ahead.
I know, so I was gonna say, is that his literal description? Like, he thinks that's a monotone description of just like the facts of the case. Is he just like, this is just what happened in the movie, and not realizing he's putting all this extra spin on like what's going on with the female character?
that is how a computer takes the Wikipedia page of the plot and tries to describe it conversationally.
I mean, but it's like a woman's hysterical. Like, it's just like, it's awful. Like, that can't even be right. Because I don't think the AI has that much bias against women. I think that must be like somebody putting it in there. Because it looks like, it almost sounds like that has a narrative it's trying to sell you. It's like the women are being crazy when you don't want women, the hands down the pants. There might be a snake down there. Like, I don't even know. I don't know what that was. That's crazy.
But I mean, it's just trying to tell you, how should one survive when trapped on a desert island?
With Harrison Ford, yeah, we should all like calm down a bit. It's Harrison Ford; he's there with us. Like, calm down, girlfriend.
There's so much of that out there that it just it's tough to find the good stuff when you have to
that's
do
true.
all that dopey shit. Good
I
Lord,
guess
that
we'll
was
just
terrible.
have to make it ourselves, Paul.
All right, Adam, if that's how we are, then you want to see the 6 days, 7 nights DVD overview?
Oh, yes. I want to see the overview of the DVD. Please, Paul, because I got to know.
All right, here's someone doing an overview of the DVD. This is on YouTube on purpose.
Sure.
So literally an overview.
What? I mean, in fairness, we
made that as a parody. I'll just say that because it certainly looks that way. It's not.
Wait, is that not parody? Because last night I asked if we could go through the special features because it had bonus content, and then only to find out there were none. that has a feature called bonus features, but it's
Right.
empty. It's like an empty folder.
Because Drew and everybody watching right now could answer this. What is the saddest words you can read when you click on special features?
It's like additional titles.
Yeah, additional titles.
It's like additional titles. So
Also,
sad.
I
thought they meant like subtitles. I was like, let's try it. They have it in like French. I don't know. They're like, no, Pretty Woman.
Also, Something About Mary is a movie. Thanks. Thank you.
Pretty Woman was also a film that
Pretty Woman is also a movie, it turns out.
And I think there was one was the Eddie Murphy film. Was it Brooklyn or
Bowfinger,
something?
right?
No, it wasn't Bowfinger. It might have been Mimic. Was Mimic? No, that wasn't him. There's something with an M, I thought.
Metro.
Metro. Yeah. You got it.
It's always Metro.
You got it.
The additional titles is the equivalent of the DVDs you see at the checkout lane, right?
Yeah.
Metro or
One was Julia Roberts' Pretty Woman, but you had to go on the next page to see that. You had to flip a page to see
Tomcats.
that. Yeah. And none of them were even the same year. It was weird.
Yeah, that was funny too. It's like additional titles and 3, and then one more arrow, and you click that. It's just one more.
It's just Pretty Woman. It's just Pretty Woman.
You want another sad Anne Heche fact?
Yeah, let's get it.
She kind of had a lead in Return to Paradise with Vince Vaughn.
I remember that movie.
But
Rosie O'Donnell?
But really never had a lead again.
Oh, here's another not sad fact, but happy fact. Another happy fact about Anne Heche is I told you last night. My screen debut outside of that Law and Order episode is I'm in a movie with Anne Heche. It's on Netflix. You can watch it. It's called Catfight. With Anne Heche and I believe it's one of her last roles. It's Anne Heche and Sandra Oh, and they're
Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, they're in an art gallery in one scene, and I'm in it. You can see Drew in the background, like blah blah blah. My friend Oner Turkle directed it. Or like a friend Oner Turkle. I'm not vouching for him. He seems pretty cool, but like I don't know him that well. But he directed it.
Verbal equivalent of going, I'm going to retweet that guy. Wait, let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see. What did he like last?
That's exactly it. I don't know where he stands on anything.
Okay.
Yeah. He seems cool, but like I don't know. He's also kind of crazy. So.
Yeah, I'm not going to follow what everybody's doing, but they seem cool to me. Yeah.
To Eric Rebner's point of Psycho being the other big movie that Anne Heche, I think, starred in, was like, I've heard recently that the reason that Gus Van Sant wanted to remake Psycho shot for shot is because the studio was going to do it anyway, and he wanted to do it to make sure that no one else could ruin it, just him.
The great thing about the shot for shot remake of Psycho. He took it over because he is coming off of Good Will Hunting.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Took that cute little movie he did with Good Will Hunting, and it's like, I could do whatever I want right now.
Yeah.
The studio's like, we're about to remake Psycho. And he's like, what a bad idea.
Yeah.
And he goes, I'll tell you what, let me remake it. Oh, sure, let's let Gus Van Sant remake it. What are you thinking of doing, Gus? Nothing different. And they're like, we have to say yes to that. Because you're Gus Van Sant. I love that.
The blank check episode waiting to happen if they haven't done it already. But yeah.
Right. Yeah. Gus Van Sant, they should do Gus Van Sant.
Yeah.
And also, because I thought about the Psycho remake the whole time. I'm enamored with the Psycho remake. And it has its
love it. I saw that in theaters too. Yeah. What year was that?
100% saw it in theaters.
Was that the same year? Was that 98? 97?
It feels like
97?
a 98. It feels like a 98 to me.
Let's see.
But the shot for shot remake, first of all, obviously Psycho
98.
Wow, this was her same year as this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the whole time I was watching this, I was like, well, now I got to go back and watch the Psycho shot for shot remake, which I like anyway, because I love Gus Van Sant anyway. And, but she is such a good actor.
Yeah, she
is so good in this movie. Obviously, Harrison Ford's good. Obviously, she's good. We don't really need any of the plot machinations I was making fun of. But because the whole point is you should just be able to watch these two make soup for 2 hours. And I would, you know, I mean.
Yeah, you totally would. You totally would.
But she's so underrated because the director has clearly given them nothing. And I have heard rumors that he actually was not that talented a director. And it shows in this because you can make more of any of these moments if you figure out how to direct these actors, because we've watched other people direct them to great, much more detail than this movie, which was not made during writer's strike. And, but I mean, there are scenes where she's allowed, and this is a credit to Reitman, but where she's just allowed to go through numerous emotions somewhat silently, like from confusion to understanding to this sort of stuff. And watching her do that, because with her expressive eyes and face, and I just a few times where I'm like, God, she was so good. And it's a real shame what happened to her career. An incredible shame, because Paul, you played that clip at the top of the show, the live show, and of her giving Harrison Ford the AFI Life Achievement Award. And, she is so bubbly and bright as she comes out. And all I can think is, what an America's sweetheart that she is. Just, everybody would want to fall in love with her. And, to have being gay be a controversy is all that 1930s shit that happened in the 90s. It just feels a lot older with how that all played out,
Yeah, I think that's entirely true. I think there's something about H that I really find her enamoring. Like, I find her great, and I just wish she was in more stuff. I think she really got like some bad rep for being difficult to work with. Yeah. But I think she's wonderful. And yes, Wag the Dog, also a great movie. She's really just kind of killing it. Yeah.
Right. She was.
So many people are in that. So many people are in Wag the Dog.
The TV show eventually too, but I mean, I guess this whole lead is. She dies halfway through Psycho. That she's really the leads of Wag the Dog are the two men. That she couldn't get quite the big lead again, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I think after the Ellen divorce too. I mean, who knows? Who knows if she was like just coming up now? It might be a totally different story. Because like
it would be. It would be.
It's like like we just have a different view of like how women are allowed to be in movies. And this, like you said, during this era of like, well, why are you even coming out of the closet? Like, even though she was dating the biggest female lesbian at the time, like her career suffered for it in a way that was just unfortunate. Yeah. And I just wonder if like the commentary about her being difficult to work with. I mean, the guy owner used to say like she's not difficult to work with. She of course she had her own struggles with drug and alcohol stuff, and that was a shame and something that unfortunately a lot of celebrities go through. But like it's not unique to her. But she
it's also it's also coded language because she was difficult to work for. Nobody else is, or do men get a pass? Because you can hear that in any description like that. You're like, she was a little difficult on the set. Yeah, they all are.
Yeah, exactly. Tell me Harrison Ford wasn't difficult on the set. Like, no.
Tell me you've never worked on a set without telling me you never worked on a set.
God.
They all are. Jay Underwood was hard to work with on the movie I worked on. It's just Jay Underwood,
Yeah, it's just, oh my God. That's so fair. That's so fair.
Shooting is so tough, and there's there's a lot going on there, like.
No, absolutely. That's so true. And that's such a good point that it has nothing to do with the celebrity and all to do with like who's being talked about.
Nothing against Jay Underwood. I just wanted to throw the reference out there. He was a great guy, but I'm just saying at any moment, at any time on any movie, it is a tough day. You're going through your stuff and somebody's going to go, wait, what are we doing? And he's not wrong or they're not wrong, but if it's a woman, they get a reputation, especially in the 90s, which we thought was so progressive. We thought we were doing so good.
We had Miramax. How is that not okay?
How is that not okay?
Yeah, for real.
And it reminds me of, and you mentioned Blank Check earlier, they said something that was so clarifying because they were talking about Michael Keaton and the idea that Mr. Mom, that you think the 80s are getting more progressive, but the idea that a movie in 1980...
oh my God, Mr. Mom, oh yeah,
the concept of movie in 81 was a man take care of a baby?
Yeah, no, for real. Yeah, no, that's 100% true.
So really, we didn't progress 17 years after that to allowing a lesbian couple to be public while we're making a movie? No,
I mean, I cannot believe Reitman said that. I mean, that is the craziest shit. That he thought this movie was getting ruined because of like he really thinks that's what trashed the movie.
No,
okay,
I believe it because men could talk like that then.
I mean, calm down.
He was just allowed to say stuff like that.
4 years after Mr. Mom, it took 3 men to raise a baby.
That's true.
Paul, that's a good point.
That's a great point, Paul. That's a great point. Fantastic. A+, no notes.
A+, no notes.
That's a Disney film. And this, although Harrison Ford became a Disney legend recently, no doubt because Lucasfilm became part of the Disney family.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He's a Disney prince.
But technically, 6 Days, 7 Nights, his first Disney movie.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So.
Wow. Okay, I feel you on that. I feel that.
Other fun stuff to talk about. The movie was filmed in Kauai, so that's a return to where Raiders of the Lost Ark was filmed for Harrison Ford.
Hey, when he's running through the field, right, with all the stuff coming off of his jacket before he jumps.
I think a lot of that is Kauai.
The snakes thing came in. Well, also you mentioned the Jango Fett thing. I mean, let's get to it because honestly, I forgot.
Let's get to Jango.
This is honestly the return of him versus, okay, we say Jango Fett, but also canonically later Boba Fett from Book of Boba Fett. So this is him returning him versus Boba Fett.
Boba Fett trying to kill him,
Boba Fett trying to kill him.
Yeah, so the pirate thing is a classic thing in this where there's gonna have to be some extra tension because they land on the island. They're flying through a storm because he's trying to get her to the thing that she just found out about. Very clunkily thrown together, but hey, we know the concept of the movie. Yeah, get him in the plane, get him in the storm, get him to crash, and then the movie begins. Proper. The second act begins. So pirates, they see a ship and they're like. They're pirates and they start rowing away, but and so that adds a little tension to part of the movie that is again probably dismissed a little too quickly. But hey, the villains are Boba Fett and Machete.
Machete and Cliff Curtis, Poseidon. I think they could have introduced that. I have a little bit different feel. I feel like they could introduce that part a little bit earlier because they're supposed to be the big bads, but they're introduced so late in the game that you're like, these are just guys that are doing their own thing. They have nothing to do with the side point of it. And to that end, you had a really good point about what should have happened with Schwimmer and with his girlfriend, with the Quinn's girlfriend, which is that they end up together, but there's not enough to do to make them seem so villainous. They just seem like they both think that their lovers have died in this horrifying accident, so much so that they're having a funeral scene by the time they come back. That's and you're insane. Like, oh, these are people that are really mourning and grieving for the losses of that they have on the trip. So I don't even think they're mad at each other when they find out that the other one has slept with someone else or in her case just kissed somebody else. But there's this real sense of oh, I remember Schwimmer being this real sleazy guy, but he's not. He's just a guy who's really grieving for the death of his new fiance. It's horrifying.
No, I called out at the beginning of this. I'm like, it is a total classic Frank Capra setup. And if you're doing a Frank Capra movie, now I'm comparing this movie to one of the great geniuses of cinema who was able to pull off insane things. You look at the end of Some Like It Hot and there's mobsters and guns and that movie just goes nuts and you're like, somehow it handled all of that and got all of that in, and this movie kind of fails at the eloquence or being able to do that very easily because it's a hard thing to do. But you point out the main part of it, which is Schwimmer's going to stay on the island. He's going to now get hit on by the hottie patati that was Quinn's girlfriend. And there should be all this tension and humor as he tries to, I can't, no. Oh, and it falls over himself and all this stuff. And it's just so dismissed so quick. It's he gets 3 lines where he goes, wait, what did you say? And cut away.
You called it immediately. You saw it even before that. You saw it even before they realized that they were missing. It's just she just shows up and he's alone on the island watching her dance. And he's like, whoa. He's just, but he's not played, he's not played like a jerk, which I did like. What'd you say at the beginning? This is he's the Bill Pullman of the Sleepless in Seattle.
Paul with the best call ever.
Yeah.
What was the conversation, Paul?
The blue balled white guy who doesn't get the girl. Yeah.
Yeah. But but he's not blue ball.
She was trying to describe him. Paul goes, yeah, he's the Bill Pullman.
He's the Bill Pullman. But he's not blue ball. He gets his while she's away. They're both equally, I think, horny for other people. I don't think the relationship is really, and to its credit,
while you were sleeping had to be so satisfying for Bill Pullman.
Yeah, he's like, I'm finally gonna get laid. He's not played like a schlump, and he's not played like a jerk, and he's not played like a nerd. I like how they played a Schwimmer for some reason. Yeah, maybe that is the issue.
You should have been all that.
I have down here that you have a David Schwimmer story.
Okay. Oh yes, I do have a Schwimmer story.
Do you have a David Schwimmer story? Can you tell us a real brief David Schwimmer story?
Oh my God, is this going to be brief? Okay, real quick.
No. Take as much time as you want.
So this is when me and Vinny Mancuso were working at the New York Observer, right?
Vinny!
And our boss, Vinny, he's the best.
Oh,
and
we gotta get Vinny on here. We gotta make him watch Firewall or some dumb movie.
So Vinny was my intern. When he was, and then, actually he was the company's intern, but he had just started working for me at TV Download, which is a site that we made up, or a subsection of the site that was just focused on television, just focused on the showrunners and the world building of the 2014 era of TV. It was like really hit a sweet spot. We were still on Game of Thrones when before it was shitty. Like we were hitting all this good stuff. So Vinny had started working with me a couple weeks before. We were just getting to know each other. And then we get called up to this big meeting that our boss is having. So our editor-in-chief at the time, Ken Curson, is like, hey, I want you guys to meet my friend David Schwimmer. We're poker buddies. He's come to here to talk to you about like the press and celebrities. And because like I'm the one who's most often dealing with celebrities, like in my function of the TV person, it's like me and Rex Reed, right? Where that's the TV and movie person. So like, you know, Rex has his own thing with celebrities and he's a very old man by this point, but like we're getting this long talk by David Schwimmer. And it turns out like very early on, it's very clear that David Schwimmer just has a big problem with the press. I think he's like confusing us for like, you know, OK Magazine or like, you know, TMZ. He's just railing
or
against
Dazzle Magazine, which is
exactly.
in this movie.
Dazzle, right? Dazzle.
Pretty good name for a fake fashion magazine. Gotta give it credit for that.
13 going on 31. I'm pretty sure it's something very, or is that sassy or something? I don't know. It's very similar. But so he's railing against the press and he's like blah, blah, blah. And he's just like, you know, calling us names and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, like he's just railing and ranting. And my boss is just sitting there like, oh, like, so like he clearly was like, I didn't think this is where it was going to go.
Another thing, Pop Sugar. Or
yeah, exactly.
thing.
He's like, okay, Jared, like, you know, okay, Perez, you know,
listen, Perez Hilton.
Yeah, Perez Hilton. Like the whole thing is just getting so messy. And I go downstairs and it's done. We've just gotten this big talking down by David Schwimmer. He's so mad. He's like, this is one time the press got it wrong, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, we're a news magazine, like catering to like, you know, we're owned by Jared Kushner. Like we're not tackling on anybody in the near future.
Yeah.
So I go downstairs and I just have like started typing to Vinny and I'm just like, so no one told him life was going to be this way? Clap, 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 clap. And I'm pretty sure that is what solidified me and Vinny Mancuso was like the best of friends. That was like the best moment.
That's a great line for life. So nobody told him life was going to be like
this way. And he writes back, clap, 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 clap.
Oh my God.
So good.
I'm now going to think that every time a grown-up throws a tantrum or is somehow surprised by something and they're so 70 and should know better.
It was so good. It was so good.
Oh my gosh.
Pardon me. That was my sort of best humor.
And his girl in that, Harrison Ford's girl at the top of the movie, Jacqueline Obradors.
I recognized her from something. Every time she came on,
Yowza. She still works through to today, so she's been in a ton of stuff. So I wouldn't be shocked if you've seen
very
her.
Pretty.
Not so familiar with me, but if you wanted a woman who could steal you away while you're like your woman's on an island with another guy, that's good casting.
And the thing is,
that was great casting.
But she's got the role with the license to be ultra, you know, I mean, she's obviously a played up hottie, you know, but she's got all the license to really give the, you know, coochie coochie, the, you know,
the coochie coochie. That's exactly how, but the coochie coochie.
And draw him in, and they never play any of that. And she's perfect for that. He's perfect for that. He's supposed to be the dork, and you know.
No, for a movie that was like so obsessed with her not being a lesbian, like it really doesn't play like either of the women as seductress freaks, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, Lon Harris just entered the chat. Hi, Lon is here. Lon Harris is here.
Lon is there?
Yeah.
Lon, quick thoughts on 6 days, 7 nights.
He can't hear you. Hit the headphones.
That's okay.
Tell him to just talk about 6 days, 7 nights for 2 seconds.
Okay, wait, like Lon, can you put on the headphones and talk about?
Do you have any David Schwimmer stories?
No, don't make me. I haven't seen it for.
Okay, he said don't make him, and my dogs are going crazy.
Okay. That's okay. No problem.
So here are your potential other Robins in the film, played by Anne Heche. Early on, Gwyneth Paltrow, Meg Ryan, and Uma Thurman. That makes me think
this movie's made in 98?
Yeah, that makes me think this movie was made in 98.
But part of the pitch probably that Julia Roberts was in. And then once you have Harrison Ford, then you can go below A-list and he'll be your draw. I mean, this is my guess.
Then you can no longer afford A-list for the rest of the cast.
Then they pitched it to Elizabeth Hurley, Kristen Scott Thomas, who eventually would be his co-lead in Random Hearts, Minnie Driver, Cameron Diaz. I guess that's about the time she was getting big, right? The post-Mask.
Yeah, this is the most 98 list of potential candidates I've ever heard.
And Melanie Griffith also. So.
Yeah, The Mask was what, 95, 96? Or no, 94 actually. So had she already done like Charlie's Angels? She was starting to really be in
that's
or My Best Friend's Wedding would be this year, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So. That's a big one for her. Nobody quite knew what to make of her in a way, but she like really killed it in that movie.
Yeah, and other than that, we talk about. Do you have any of your brownies left, Drew?
I do. Oh my gosh, should I go get one?
Yeah.
Vamp for a second. I'm gonna go get them. That's a great metaphor.
Yeah, last night we were.
It is a great metaphor. Thank you for writing that down. Yeah.
We were watching the movie, and Drew brought over brownies, and we thought they were just kind of like this movie, right? Like a little mushy in the center. They were good brownies. The kind that are mushy in the center.
Brownies should always have a liquid center, like that gum they used to have in the 80s. Chewels had liquid in the center. Do they still make gum with liquid in the center? Look, we're dealing with the tough issues here.
These brownies are so good, y'all. These are like 3-day-old brownies, and I'm so into them.
You didn't make them for our event last night?
I did. Oh my god, I did. I totally did.
It was yesterday, dude.
I made them 2 days ahead of time.
Hey, I think there's a lot of restraint because I think there was none missing from last night. This is the first one. There's a lot of restraint for those.
Nope, here's the brownies. Let's do the metaphor.
Yeah, so enjoyable, right?
Very gooey.
Very gooey. Yep, it's a gooey movie. This is a gooey movie. Little charred around the edges, perhaps.
Pretty weird. Pretty weird.
Oh my god.
It's a shame you're not here. So Rotten Tomatoes, 38%.
Yeah, that's a thing. Oh, sorry. 38%.
Generally enjoyable, completely forgettable piece of Hollywood fluff. Critics like the chemistry, not so much the plot. I think I go along with that. They're fun.
Yeah.
They're fun. The movie is.
I would say arguably the movie fails at the script. It really fails at the premise, and the beats don't feel right. It feels like they should have longer with the pirates. Like all the back and forth between Schwimmer and his girl. It's like that should have been one scene. Like that could have been one thing to play. Like it should not have been this. The problem with this film is not in the chemistry. The chemistry is phenomenal. The problem is with the writing and directing, and that's honestly on Raymond.
Yeah, and clearly he tried to edit his way out of sequence, out of trouble, because you're correct. And I feel like you could tell that in the script after they crash on the island, we're with them for a half hour of plot,
like a half hour. Yeah,
but they break that half hour up by constantly cutting back, but to a scene that was contiguous with the last one we saw.
Oh my god! It kept driving me nuts. He was like, it was the same day that they were still in the helicopter. I was like, the helicopter can't be flying around. They would have had to refuel. The helicopter can't be flying after the night. Like it didn't make any sense.
That was the best call that completely eluded me, even though I was already very wary that any cut back to them was odd at that point. But you totally called it out because they suddenly total reshoot scene, 100% reshoot scene. 100%. We need to get him to go for the rescue. The test audiences are saying, why don't they just send a copter to rescue? Okay. Now I know what we'll do. And then they shoot and they put those two in a green screen, in the helicopter and so they go on a search for the bodies. I'm sorry, they think they're alive at that point, but they go on a search.
The bodies.
And then they cut away to Anne Heche and Harrison Ford for a while. Then they cut back, still searching. Nothing happens.
But it's been a night.
Cut back to them.
Like the night, yeah.
They spend the night and then cut back to the helicopter. And Drew goes, "Were they flying all night?"
Yeah, there's no way. There's no way.
Yeah.
Much nothing happens in that subplot. It's a shame.
So much happens.
We're seeing so much.
They never show them land and cut back to what was something that clearly contiguous with 3 scenes back before the helicopter.
No, it drove me nuts. I'm so glad that you agree.
I have 2 things to say about that. First of all, this goes back to a famous Adam moment that I had when we went to the Evan Almighty.
Famous Adam. Oh, Evan Almighty, gotcha.
I've told this story before, but
an Adamservation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Early in that film, Evan's talking to his kids and whatever, and then they cut away to go to the next scene, and Adam went, Judd Apatow would have done something funny there before they cut away. And you're totally right.
Yeah.
So, and this has a lot of that. So, hey, we're going to get to the next plot part of the story, but could you maybe get there through some interesting character or dialogue?
No. Like it's like there's so much. I think they're right. That's why I started to feel like
on scenes.
Yeah, no buttons.
No buttons. You're right. There's a lot of moments where it's like something cute could have happened. And to be fair, there are cute parts with the subplot with Quinn and her, but I think that's almost like that happened in spite of. And that happened in spite of the movie, like what was on the written page. That's just because they were cute together.
Right. Exactly. I mean, you are playing with house money with those 2 actors. And I'm also very famous for saying the movie doesn't owe you that. When people will complain about something, they go, well, the story wasn't very good. And I'm like, it's Godzilla versus Kong. What were you really going in for story? Or were you going in for Godzilla and Kong? And did you not get those? Like, what were your expectations? The movie literally does not owe you anything but Godzilla and Kong.
And but I mean, that's why Adam Wingard's great, because he gives you that, and then he's like, what if we just add Fast 5 on top of it? Yeah, that's absolutely right.
The other thing the story of the helicopter scenes reminds me of is you were talking about how you noticed it as you were watching it, and then it became real to you when Drew mentioned, they'd been in the helicopter for like over a day. When I was watching the Pirates, Tamura Morrison, Cliff Curtis, and Danny Trejo, it felt to me like they were just going well, if the internet is correct, they were speaking Maori for part of it, which is
that's so cool.
Which is Tamura Morrison's language, right?
But then the other times they just improvised stuff. And I hope that's true.
Oh my god, Danny Trejo doesn't speak Maori. I don't think Danny Trejo speaks Maori. Maybe Cliff Curtis does, but Danny Trejo definitely doesn't speak Maori.
Well, no, he actually didn't speak much at all in the film. So when Morrison and Curtis talked,
this would have been like what year? 98. I think. When would they release Trejo out of jail? Because Trejo was a convict. Like, he was a convict.
In jail in the 90s, yeah.
Yeah, Trejo's in jail.
He would have been out by Heat, though. But he was in Heat,
right.
So that's what, 90...
3 years before.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was like a real prison guy. So so he was let's see, he was incarcerated in oh my god, he was first incarcerated in 1956. So in all the 60s there, met Charles Manson in 61. What? Moved to San Quentin in 66.
80?
Yeah, he was in the 68. He was in the prison riot. Ended up in solitary confinement, facing capital charges and the death penalty. Holy shit!
Wow.
And then
no wonder they didn't let him talk.
And he was released in 69. So that's crazy. That's crazy. He was there for so long.
That makes him minimum 70. It puts him in his wow. 56 incarcerated, so he's got to be a teenager.
See, he was probably a
teenager. He was born in 44.
A teenager when he did.
He was 12. He was 12 when he was first incarcerated.
Yeah. He's 80. Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
You know, I ran into him in an airport.
He's great. I love him. He's exactly 80 years old. He's wonderful. What was he like?
He's exactly 4 feet tall. Is what he is.
Whoa! No way! No, shut up.
He's shorter than you, Drew.
And next
he's 5 foot. He's 5'8". He's taller than me. He's a little bit taller. But that's very small.
If you want to see Tamura Morrison and Cliff Curtis in the first film, I saw them in together. It's called Once Were Warriors.
Oh, it was Cliff Curtis.
Right.
Absolutely brilliant. New Zealand.
You probably didn't notice that Cliff Curtis was in, but he's in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, Once Were Warriors was one of those. I mean, all those indie films of the 90s I just loved so much, and that was one of them. And it launched 1,000 ships. You know, the director went off and directed a Bond film, and Tamura Morrison got a ton of roles off of that. That was really cool. I didn't know Cliff Curtis.
Rita Owen ended up in the Star Wars universe too, and
she's in that too.
One of the sequels, I think. Yeah. So then Roger Ebert says, whenever pirates turn up in a romance made more or set more recently than 1843, you figure the filmmakers ran out of ideas. But all this,
what an Ebertism that is,
didn't prevent our boy Harrison Ford from winning the Blockbuster Entertainment Award for favorite actor in a comedy romance.
God bless the Blockbuster Awards for saying what is on America's conscience.
Yeah.
And not subject to the Academy.
And I love that, like, she would have agreed with him. Like, she would have agreed with them. Like, Anne Heche had no bitterness about working with Harrison Ford. That's so beautiful. I love that.
The best supporting actress went to Anne Heche's nipples.
Oh,
that
my
might
God.
be my observation. But,
Perfect.
Your ass is too narrow and your tits are too small.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with my tits.
Margot Robbie blurted on the Graham Norton show, which we played a clip from before, that 6 Days, 7 Nights is her favorite Harrison Ford movie. She's like blurted that she's in love with him.
Oh my God. Blurted no less.
Note to the filmmakers, Margot Robbie is the wrong person to cast if you want to make this point.
She's great.
Ford went on the Late Show and told Dave about romancing Anne Heche in the film. Letterman's response, well, you have your work cut out for you there.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, that's a classic Letterman.
That's classic Letterman. That's really good, though. I like that.
If there are no other observations, I'll get on to the list of definitive essentials for Harrison Ford.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, did we cover all the facts here?
How does 6 Days, 7 Nights hold up today? 6 Days, 7 Nights is an iconic film that has
This
captured the hearts of many.
Is
On revisiting
choking
it, the chemistry
internet.
between the leads remains undeniable.
It is
the movie
absolute
showcases
garbage
an
in the alley.
engaging mix of romance and adventure. While some elements might seem dated today, its core narrative
Paycheck.
still resonates.
Well,
For
let's
those
roll.
who haven't seen it, it's a must-watch. For those revisiting, it's a nostalgic journey
Yeah,
back
we're
to
great.
simpler cinematic
Really?
times.
This method is perfect. Let's go again. Ah, shit. No.
Okay, so you know what this reminds me a lot of?
Let's go again.
This reminds me a lot of if you Google my name and the name of my ex-husband, what you'll get is a ton of these brain rot articles that are
Oh,
just
really?
word salad. And this is what always comes up in my Google
Did you
search
know
results.
that Drew Grant used to be
Yeah,
called?
it's just like Drew Grant is a 55-year-old, and I'm like, what? No. Like, no. Like, that's why everyone on the internet thinks I'm like in my mid-50s, and they're like, she blah, 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 blah. And it's just like all made up nonsense,
Well,
word
many
vomit,
people
garbage.
think there is something wrong with Drew's tits.
Yeah,
there is
they're
nothing
like,
wrong with Drew
exactly,
Grant's tits.
exactly. Please correct all these articles, guys.
So does Harrison Ford in 6 Days, 7 Nights have righteous anger?
I think so. I think he's just appropriately angry enough
Yeah.
for somebody who's like watches his, gun get shut off at a commercial flight.
You know, this is a good question because we didn't discuss this during the movie. This is obviously one of the things we always like to discuss about Harrison Ford. But you know what? This is actually a good thing to view his character through the lens of, because I think it really puts into focus his point of view of when he's kind of complaining with her or what's annoying him about her.
Yeah.
It's this sort of like, but it's the righteousness of just like, calm down and chill out, baby. You know, like,
yeah, exactly.
but it gets him angry about that, of just like, calm down. You know, it's fine.
Yeah.
We're gonna figure
his
this out.
righteous anger here is he's
It's
angry.
very righteous. It is righteous.
Well, he's in the right, but he's
Yes.
really
Oh,
having
yeah,
righteous
yeah.
anger on the side of heroism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which he would normally do. He'd be like, enough, at the end of
exactly.
Witness or whatever. But here he's just like, you blew our one shot to shoot the gun up,
Yeah,
Yeah,
the flare
exactly.
thing.
Exactly. I'd be mad too. I think I'd be mad too.
With every bit of anger comes Harrison Ford pointing. And we spotted
Oh my
3
God.
big ones in this movie.
I thought there
I'm
was
the
like
best-
7. I thought there was
You
like
got
7
7?
pointing.
We got 3. I'm the best goddamn pilot you ever meet. This is argument after the flare mishap. Just before the earthquake, he gives a point, and she falls.
Oh, right, the earthquake. There's an
And the
earthquake.
pirates,
in this
right?
whole-
Or the land falls out from under.
Yeah.
And then the pirate attack, he did some pointing as well. Maybe 2 or 3 in the one.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's really I think you're right, Paul. It's 3, but it's like also maybe a soft 7 because of other sort of like expression
Yeah, there's soft
points.
7.
You know,
I think
but
so.
yeah,
I think there was a soft 7 in there.
We'll have to start a Mr. Skin, only the good parts, but just
Only
Harrison Ford
Harrison
pointing.
Ford pointing. Yeah.
yeah, Mr. Skin. What's a parody
Mr.
with
Skin.
Mr. Point?
Remember?
Yeah,
Mr. Point. Mr. Index.
Smile and charm, yes, from the first flight scene when he's first flying them and he's like smiling and telling stories or whatever. He's charming.
Oh yeah. That's-
Shout and growl, a very good one because get out of there, get away from my plane, because he just said
Yeah.
previously in the last movie, get off my plane.
Oh,
Yeah, on the
gosh.
plane, right.
Wow.
The first morning on the beach when he says that, it's definitely
Oh wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, good stuff.
I love it when he shouts.
And does he hit a guy? Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I was shocked.
Well, he hits
Yeah.
one guy, but he hits him 3 times. So we have 3 more punches added to
3
the
more
Harrison
punches.
Ford punch count.
That's right.
And he has 3 knees, but we're not counting those. But he, what I've said, Drew, is during any phase where Harrison Ford is not playing the sort of guy who would punch someone, like regarding Henry or even we were talking Frantic and this sort of stuff. In every one of these, well, except regarding Henry, I believe, but in every one of these, at some point he does punch someone, and he plays a character that wouldn't punch someone, but you want certain people to get punched, and it's so satisfying that by the end of any Harrison Ford movie, with the exception of Regarding Henry and a couple others, but he does get a punch in, and it feels so good. And I totally expected no punches, and
No,
I
you got a
swear
punch. You are so happy.
I jumped off the couch because I expected no punches. And I was like, oh my God, he's gonna punch
There's
the
a punch. You got a punch.
Well, in something like Return of the Jedi, there's shoving and there's flipping a guy. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of shooting. But so with 3 punches, there's more punches in 6 Days, 7 Nights than
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi.
How many
That's-
total
that's
punches
true.
are in Return of the Jedi? None, right?
0. Yeah.
0.
0.
So with
That's
one, you're already beating it.
There's only one in The Empire Strikes Back, 0 in Star Wars. So there's more in 6 Days, 7 Nights, the entire Star Wars trilogy. Than
God, you're right.
Wow.
Drew, what are you putting
that is
together?
surprising.
Yeah,
Drew,
That
what are
is
you putting
surprising.
together?
I'm putting together
Tilt the
Godzilla.
camera down. Let the audience
It's a
know we're all
Godzilla. It's a
wondering.
little Godzilla. It's a little Godzilla thing. Sorry, I forgot you guys could hear this. Little
Are you
Godzilla.
organizing jewelry? What is going on?
No, I'm putting together Godzilla 3D puzzle. Okay.
Well,
so
I'd expect nothing less. And I love you for it. I love you for it.
I mean, Ichi, please, come on.
Drew, I would never say.
Stop acting like
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's baller. That's cool.
Not together, just no big thing. But
I love that. I love
Paul's
that.
been assembling that the whole time.
right, exactly. So that does it. That's 117 punches in 34 movies for career to date punch count on Harrison Ford.
So the next one where we drop the balloons and confetti, Paul, what do you say? 125, 150, I guess? 200, I guess?
Maybe, but are we going to get it from Random Hearts?
I don't know if he's going to
What
get
Lies
it. Random
Beneath
Hearts.
and K-19? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, what are you at? What are you guys at?
117.
117.
Yeah.
So, Drew, tell everybody where we can find you.
I'm at Video Drew. Wow, that came in super hot. I'm at Video Crew across all social media. You can also find me at Passion Fruit. That's passionfru.it. It's a site for creator and creative professionals who want to learn about how to make their online work their business. So please check that out. We have a Discord. We have Friday Night Hangs. We have a bunch of stuff going on.
Paul, we literally need to
Literally.
take their class to figure out how to do our Patreon.
We have more than classes. We have so much going on. We have a great news angle. Eric has Reactorverse. We have a show called Deep Linkers. We're going to have you guys on soon. Talk about the business of being a creator online. It's difficult. It's not an easy industry, but it is an industry.
But you guys are experts at it and deeply entrenched in the history of it too.
Yeah, that's true.
Every time you tell a story and you're like, yeah, they just invented the internet and I had the first internet show on whatever. I'm like,
that'd be
Lon.
Way back. That'd be Lon. He's got the very first internet show. So that'd be it.
Yeah, I started Movie Guys and we've been podcasting, but I could never make this a business. But I use it to get work in the business.
Exactly. That's exactly it. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. You guys were talking about Patreon last night. Like we're trying to figure out how to tell people the best ways to do it. So come check us out. We're doing a bunch of stuff. We have a Christian Harloff interview coming up soon. I think next week to coincide with the congressional hearings about the UAPs, which is, Christians.
Yeah, he's way into the UFOs. He's got a whole show.
He is. Yeah. Oh my God. I love talking to him about UAPs.
Yeah,
it was so good. It's so good.
Oh, I'd listen to the two of you. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Then I had dopey outlines here, Adam, if you want to go over them on the script, or we could just do whatever.
No, we can do an outline. I have the script here. We're gonna wrap this with a zinger. Is it about the next movie we're going to? Let me look here. Let's see.
Kind of.
Is it? And that wraps up 6 days. Okay, so, all right, and that wraps up 6 days, 7 nights.
Yes, but the string of numbers-based titles for Harrison Ford will continue. Right after Air Force One, we have 6 days, 7 nights. We're right around the corner from K-19.
42.
Anchorman 2.
The Expendables 3.
Star Wars Episode 7.
Yeah, a lot of sequels there, but no franchise went as long as the Blade Runner films.
Let me guess, there were 2,049 of them.
That's what I was getting at. Yes.
All right, I think we're done here. Good night, everybody.
Let me retake that. That's what I was getting at. Yes. Something happened in my throat right as I said that.
I think we're done here. Good night, everybody. All right, and that is our show. So go ahead and stop.
Actually, I have one last question.
Oh, okay.
Drew,
yep.
Drew, do you think, and I have something to ask you after we're done with the stream too.
Yeah, sure.
But one last question that could be potentially for the show, which is, Drew, do you think, from your wisdom of people, how they run their Patreon, do you think it would be a great idea? Because Paul and I, when we do it, we would want something we could give the audience constantly. And there's a free plug. There's a show called Star Wars Minute, right?
Right.
And what they do is they take all the Star Wars. Great movie. You been on that?
No, I just had our friends do it. That's
a bunch of our friends have been on it. Alex, Molly, and who else would you want to hear dissect a single minute?
Adam Witt.
I could end up on there too. But So I thought, what is the silliest movie in Harrison Ford's canon that we could cover 1 minute at a time? And I think this is it. And when you think about the title, it's rather perfect. What do you think about the idea? Do you think we get Patreon members? Would they be satisfied with 6 days, 7 nights, minute?
Well, 6 days, 7 months. The 6 days, 7 nights, minute. I mean, that makes sense to me. I think it makes sense to Schwimmer. I think that'd be great. I think that's
Would you come on our first episode?
Absolutely. I'm first guest booking it.
Yeah. And that wraps up 6 days, 7 nights, minute. Join us next week for minute 2 of 6 days, 7 nights.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Drew. Miss you already.
Oh, wait, stop recording. Send us your file when you're done, too.
I am done right now. Save project. Oh, are we still online? We're still on the show?
We're still on the show. We just saved you a quick time.
I'm saving.
All right,
cool. Export audio. Okay, shared audio on your computer. Export to computer. There we go. I'll just name this 6 days, 7 nights, minute 1. Love it. Okay, so it's exporting right now. And then how do you want me to send it to you? Over email? I think that, or like over Gmail or something?
Whatever.
Okay, I'll send that to you guys.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Our audience enjoys the process as well.
Oh, I love it. I love that. Okay, I'll see you guys soon. Sound the flippity flop.
All right. Stick around. I got one thing to ask you after we're done.
Okay, sure.
All right, what's going on?
Got it. I think we're ending the show.
Drew's leaving. I think Drew's leaving. Lana's in her house, and we're going to wrap up the show.
For me.
Yeah. I'm sending it to you right now.
One more thing for both of you. Okay.
Yeah.
And that wraps up the show, folks.
Bye. I'm just like waiting for it to upload. I don't know if I'm still on air.
Oh, are you using it through StreamYard?
No. I'm just like wrapping it up on here. I can't quit the movie or like the stream. I think you guys have to do that.
Yeah, we do have to do that.
We could kick you out if that's what you want to do.
No. We're still live. We're still live, I believe. Unless I'm
6 day, 7 night. Okay, adventure, suspense, Harrison movie. This is very awesome, very nice movie.
I love the cat in his car.
It's so good.
Dracula reviews the Harrison Ford movies.
Oh my God, perfect. It's like The Room.
All right, let's wrap the whole thing up. All right.
Okay.
Oh God, here we go.
I've already pressed stop on my audio, so.
Yeah, we stopped our audio.
The internet has awful stuff on it.
Oh,
this is the worst. Where is Philippe Sinclair?
The first actor they mention.
Oh my God.
7 songs. They just said 7 songs.
Oh my God. Oh, not great. Not great, guys.
He was in Quicksand. Who else was in this movie? Thank you. Thanks for making a video of that.
Okay, so wait. What's the best email to send this to? Or do you want to
Paul
tell
at
me?
movieguys.net.
Paul at movieguys.net. Paul.
Oh, you just told everybody, Paul. We're still in there.
Everybody said David needs to send his audio to Paul at movieguys.net.
Yeah, please, David, send your audio.
And it's sent through my work account, so don't worry about that.
Sent!
1, 2, 3!
This election is going to be one of the closest in history. Your vote will make the difference. That means you, Gary. Oh, blah, blah, blah. I'm just one person. No. Shut the up, Gary. Last time, only a few thousand votes kept Trump out of office. And this time, we will hold you personally responsible, Gary. Don't forget to vote, Gary.